Zhejiang is an eastern, coastal province of the People's Republic of China. Its capital and largest city is Hangzhou. Zhejiang is bordered by Jiangsu and Shanghai to the north, Anhui to the northwest, Jiangxi to the west and Fujian to the south. To the east is the East China Sea, beyond which lies the Ryukyu Islands. The population of Zhejiang stands at 57 million, the 10th highest among China. Other notable cities include Ningbo and Wenzhou. It has been called the backbone of China, due to being a major driving force in the Chinese economy and being the birthplace of several notable persons, including the Chinese nationalist leader Chiang Kai-shek and entrepreneur Jack Ma. Zhejiang consists of 90 counties. The area of Zhejiang was controlled by the Kingdom of Yu during the spring and autumn period. The Qin Empire later annexed it in 222 BC. Under the late Ming dynasty and the Qing dynasty that followed it, Zhejiang's ports became important centers of international trade. It was occupied by the Empire of Japan during the Second Sino-Japanese War and placed under the control of the Japanese puppet state known as the Reorganized National Government of China. After Japan's defeat, Zhejiang's economy became stagnant under Mao Zedong's policies. Nevertheless, after China's economic reform, Zhejiang has grown to be considered one of China's wealthiest provinces, ranking 4th in GDP nationally and 5th by GDP per capita. With a nominal GDP of CNY 5 and 62 trillion as of 2018. Zhejiang's economy is based on electromechanical industries, textiles, chemical industries, food and construction materials. Zhejiang consists mostly of hills, which account for about 70% of its total area, with higher altitudes towards the south and the west. Zhejiang has China's longest coastline. The Qianting River runs through the province, from which it derives its name. Included in the province are 3,000 islands, the most in China. The capital Hangzhou marks the end of the Grand Canal and lies on Hangzhou Bay on the north of Zhejiang, which separates Shanghai and Ningbo. The bay contains many small islands collectively called the Jushan Islands. Hangzhou is a historically important city of China and is considered a world city with a Beta Plus classification according to GAWC. It includes the notable West Lake. Various varieties of Chinese are spoken in Zhejiang, the most prominent being Wu Chinese. The province's name derives from the Ji River, preserving a Proto-Wu name of the local Yu. Similar to Yuhang, Kuaji and Jiang, Kuaqiao culture was an early Neolithic culture that flourished in the Hangzhou area in 6000 to 5000 BC. Zhejiang was the site of the Neolithic cultures of the Haimudu and Langshu. The area of modern Zhejiang was outside the major sphere of influence of Shang civilization during the 2nd millennium BC. Instead, this area was populated by peoples collectively known as Dongyu. The Kingdom of Yu began to appear in the chronicles and records written during the spring and autumn period. According to the chronicles, the Kingdom of Yu was in northern Zhejiang. Shiji claims that its leaders were descended from the Xia founder Yu the Great. The Song of the Yu Boatman was transliterated into Chinese and recorded by authors in North China or inland China of Hebei and Henan around 528 BC. The song shows that the Yu people spoke a language that was mutually unintelligible with the dialect spoken in North and inland China. The sword of Gojian bears bird worm seal script. Yuenu was a swordswoman from the state of Yu. To check the growth of the kingdom of Wu, Chu pursued a policy of strengthening Yu. Under King Gojian, Yu recovered from its early reverses and fully annexed the lands of its rival in 473 BC. The Yu kings then moved their capital center from their original home around Mount Kuaji in present-day Shaoxing to the former Wu capital at present-day Suzhou. With no southern power to turn against Yu, Chu opposed it directly and, in 333 BC, succeeded in destroying it. Yu's former lands were annexed by the Qin Empire in 222 BC and organized into a commandery named for Kuaji in Zhejiang but initially headquartered in Wu in Jiangsu. Kuaji Commandery was the initial power base for Xiang Liang and Xiang Yu's rebellion against the Qin Empire, which initially succeeded in restoring the kingdom of Chu but eventually fell to the Ha. Under the later Ha, control of the area returned to the settlement below Mount Kuaji, but authority over the Minu hinterland was nominal at best, and its Yu inhabitants largely retained their own political and social structures. At the beginning of the Three Kingdoms era, Zhejiang was part of the Wu. During the Three Kingdoms Wu and Shu, lack of material resources, avoided direct confrontation with the Wu. In armed military conflicts with Wu, the two states relied intensively on tactics of camouflage and deception to steal Wu's military resources, including arrows and